I've come to this job today in a VW because a friend of mine who actually doesn't watch this channel at all realised that he thinks he's got a barn find from his family that is worthy of me coming to film. And I met him through these VWs, albeit old ones, not this new electric Buzz. And the car in question is actually a really cool 90s rally bred saloon, I suppose you'd call it, owned by his mother-in-law. It hasn't been off the road for an enormous amount of time, but circumstances have changed, and actually there's been some illness and she really wants to get this car back on the road. So today is hopefully the impetus for that, and I can't wait to see it because I've never seen it before, because he forgot that it was even in this barn. Farmers. I'm Jonny Smith, you're watching The Late Break Show, and this episode is proudly supported by Nielsen Car Cleaning Products.
And our Barn Find February is also kindly sponsored by Works and its cordless tools that make my barn finds a lot easier. But more on that later.
So Rob, I know you're a friend of mine, and I also know that you've pretty much never watched anything I've done on the internet. This is true.
Yeah, sorry Johnny.
Yes, it's fine, I'm not offended. And you probably didn't know that I did barn finds a lot of the time until I might have referenced a while ago.
I did know, you've mentioned it. You've mentioned it when we've been talking, yeah.
And then you said to me quite recently, oh, there is a car that you might be interested in. It's actually my mother-in-law's car.
Yeah.
It's quite cool, and it's been sat for a while and it needs to come out. So here we are. Even though Rob hates cameras, you really don't like, he won't make eye contact with you. But Rob's an extremely talented man who builds beach buggies for a living, and it's got some pretty hot Beetles and hot rods, which is how we came to be. But I want to know what the deal is with this car, because your mum-in-law has had some amazing cars, it seems. I didn't realise how car-y she was.
Well, my wife's, she was picked up from school when she was little in a scimitar, so that was her first experience in motoring.
Yeah.
She's had a 5 Series Alpina.
That's cool.
She has a Fiat Abarth now, and this car. So I asked her which one she really wanted to drive again, and it was this one.
Right.
So that's why we're getting it back on the road.
Right, and you're getting it back on the road. I mean, it's been off the road for what, a decade?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not been off the road for like 30 years or 40 years, which sometimes my barn finds are, but she's unwell, right?
She's unwell, and she loved driving this car because it was so noisy, and she loved the reaction she got from people, and she just wants to experience that again.
That's so cool. You would not predict that your mother-in-law would be driving this, so let's have a look. I've actually not seen it yet. I've just seen one photo that you sent me on your phone. Rob does have a phone, despite the fact that I thought he might fear technology. I do love a real barn, Rob. Subaru Impreza. Classic shape. It's not the kind of car I would have expected your mother-in-law to perhaps drive, but you said the family have had some interesting cars. I mean, your wife's got an awesome hot rod. And
yep.
So, I mean...
They're definitely a car family.
Yeah. This is the first Subaru barn find I've done.
Right.
I'm so fond of these cars, and clearly your mum-in-law is as well.
Oh, she loved the car, and she loved, the main thing, like I said, was the noise she made, the noise it made. My only experience with this car personally is she took me to hospital one day. We had to go to hospital in Leicester.
Yeah.
And driving through the middle of Leicester with the big exhaust, and everyone looking at you.
Yeah.
And everyone's surprised to see a lady of her age driving it, which is great.
So why is it parked up? What happened?
I'm not 100% sure. My father-in-law changed the battery on it, and then it wouldn't start. So he assumed he'd done something to the immobiliser.
Yeah.
I think I fixed that, and then I found another problem with it, and I think I fixed that as well. Okay. So I'm hoping with a battery and some fuel, it'll go.
And is it one of these situations where, because they seem to be the kind of family, like a lot of farmers that I meet, they buy a car, run it for a while, and then just seemingly park it and move on?
Because it's a farm, they got barns and they got space. and there's always somewhere to put it. So yeah, it gets laid up, and we'll fix that
another day,
and that day takes 10 years.
So today it's coming out, and you're going to start the work on recommissioning it.
Yes. The biggest problem is I know it's got a good oil leak.
A good oil leak. A serious.
Not a drip.
Okay.
A good dribble.
Okay.
So that's the first thing to investigate.
Yeah.
And then it's going to need brakes and a good clean.
Yeah. Well, I'll do the cleaning bit. I won't do the brakes bit.
Okay.
It's been left with the bonnet up a long time.
It was left with the bonnet up because of rodents.
Oh.
Rats and mice like to hide under a bonnet.
They really do. Let's think about what we're going to do. Obviously, I've brought a battery. I've got fuel. And we've got to get it past what appears to be a massive something from the Industrial Revolution that's attached by a piece of rope to the barn. I am not going to stand around there in case that bastard thing falls down on me. We probably have to reference at some point the fact there's a Land Rover Defender behind, because lots of viewers will go, "Oh my God, it's a Defender." It's not yours, is it?
No, that's my father-in-law's.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay. And how long's that been sat there?
Oh, 5 years maybe.
Okay, not too bad.
No, but that's the next one I'll be doing once
After
this one's
this?
done. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was going to put the tyres up straight away. Aftermarket wheels, as you can see. But before I do that, I'm just really keen to see what the condition of the bodywork's like, because these classic shape IMPREZAs, they're so good in winter because of the all-wheel drive and the rally pedigree and everything, that they rot like hell. They were never brilliantly protected, so finding one with a good body now is the real challenge. There's a little bit on the leading edge of the door, the front door here, but I've had a quick look around the back because I know they really go on the back arches and inside the sills. And this one looks really good, and I think sitting in here in this barn is bone dry. Look, it's bone dry. Drafty barns are the best places to store cars because the cars can breathe. I actually think Jill's IMPREZA might have survived really well. And this is the exhaust pipe that we were talking about. Look at the size of this. It's a bloody chimney. I presume that this was on it when your mum-in-law bought it.
Yeah, she hasn't changed anything. Yeah.
Right, okay. So she's not suddenly got into JDM tuning all of a sudden. That's a big can. So as I notice a lot of the time in Britain, the near side of the car rots more than the off side, because this side sits in the verge, in the gutter, and in the weather like this in winter, it gets more mud in the arches, and I can see this back arch here is in worse condition than that one there. Tailgate's really good. IMPREZA Turbo 2000 all-wheel drive. Now the interiors of these, always fascinated by the fact a 4-door has frameless doors. It's a very Japanese thing. It's not just Subarus, it's Toyotas, they made lots of Nissans. But this, the business side of the cabin, but I always remember the dash looking a bit average. White back clocks, they were cool. The Momo steering wheel, that was cool. But the only thing that was sexy inside, I thought, were these amazingly sculpted seats.
One of the most important tools in my barnfind kit is this Works 4-in-1 tyre inflator. It'll inflate up to 10 bar of pressure, it's got an LED light, and it's got an LCD digital readout on the screen. Later on in this video, you'll also see me use the Works cordless HydroShot pressure washer kit, which uses the same 20-volt PowerShare battery packs as all their other tools. You can get this and all the other kit that you see on the Works website with a discount code LATEBREAK10.
You said it's got an oil leak.
Yeah.
The oil filter is extremely wet.
Oh, maybe that's the leak.
It's really wet. I mean, you're obviously going to need to. You're going to change the oil and the belts and things anyway. But
yeah.
And you were saying about rodents. I've noted there are a couple of gnaw marks, aren't there? But hopefully nothing too serious on the loom. So it hasn't had overheating issues, it hasn't had any sorts of issues like that. It was mostly that taking the battery off, changing the battery, had a bit of a hissy fit with the immobiliser,
Yeah. And then the crank sensor stopped working, so I changed that.
Right, okay. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll check the fluids. You've got 2 batteries, I've got at least 1 battery, so I don't know if we're going to need that many batteries. And then I don't know whether to just blow off the engine bay with an airline before we crank it over, just to get all this muck. There's so much dust and dirt from the air.
Yeah.
Would that be a diligent thing to do?
Why not?
Yeah, let's do that.
And we'll put some fuel in as well.
Yeah, you're gonna go fuel in the actual tank. You're trusting the fuel pump.
It's got some fuel in it. I just thought put some more in it to dilute the bad petrol with some decent petrol.
Yeah. Well, it's easier than me tapping into it with my can of hope, which I usually do. But this hasn't been sat as long as a lot of the cars I've filmed with, so I'm willing to take your lead.
No.
After all, you're probably going to have to go through the fuel pipes.
Yeah, I think
fuel
everything's going to have to be changed. Yeah.
It would be good. Let's do that. Let's get the airline out and give it a blast.
Okay.
Typical rural farm setup. Don't actually have a trigger for this, so I'm just going to clip this in the airline and it's just going to start hissing. And I just want to get the worst of it off the engine bay before we do anything. I'll clean the car properly when we're outside.
I was hoping the compressor would kick in, but it doesn't seem to have done.
Compressor clearly didn't kick in. Well, that was a bit flaccid. Rob's just fetched some coolant because I noticed it was a little bit low. And what with it being a farm and all, this is the coolant, but there's only... It's just so farmer. That is so farmer.
Have you checked the oil yet?
I have checked the oil. It's on the minimum dipstick level.
Okay. Oh yeah, it is a bit low, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got any?
Yes.
I think let's put some oil in it.
Okay, I'll find some oil. I'll take this as well.
While I'm waiting for Rob to go and get some water, some coolant water, here's a quick history on the Subaru Impreza.
In fact, rather than me trying to do the Impreza backstory, I asked my Welsh chum Sean Ellis at Automax to do one, because he's bought, sold, raced, crashed and repaired dozens of classic Scoobies. Over to you, Sean.
Dripped in WRC Subaru merchandise. So they launched the car in Japan in 1992, but we didn't see them till around 1994. That was when the UK car came over. It started off life as the classic, the first version is that one over there, so slightly different headlights. Facelifted it in 1997 to this style headlight. So that is the subtle difference. In 1997, halfway through, they updated the front end of the car, slightly different bumper, different headlights is the easiest way to see it, different bonnet and things like that. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, we're talking about UK cars, but this is actually a JDM car. Yes, it is. I mean, they look the same. It's just this is actually an import one because this is a rally car. Most of the stuff we've got here is rally related, but Subaru were rally people, really. A little place called ProDrive that some of you may know. They were influential in getting the Impreza known and sold by the millions. Between them and Colin McRae, and their other drivers, but mainly Colin McRae, they made this car famous. If you want to know what some of these bits mean, WRX, World Rally Experimental, STI is not a disease, it is Subaru Technica International. Subaru were mainly Fuji Heavy Industries. Type RA is Rally Altered. Yeah?
Sean had a lot more to say about his favourite subject of classic shape Imprezas, so go and subscribe to his channel and watch out for a full-length episode soon.
They're on, oil's in, coolant's at the top. Not that we're going to be using the brakes much, but the clutch, I noticed the slave cylinder's
Got
full.
some in there, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Are you ready?
Have you got dash lights?
Yes.
I can hear clicks, good. In your own time, see
Okay.
what it does. Nothing.
Immobiliser. Hold on.
Well, I'm used to... Hey, that sounds all right.
Oh,
Oh, well, that sounded really good. Oh. It sounds even better. The sound's hitting the barn walls. Yeah. So it won't idle?
it won't idle. I'm having to feather it just to keep it running, but
Yeah.
it probably runs well enough to get it out of the shed.
Yeah. But you know what though? It actually sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah. That's it. Right, I want you to do some back arch feeling.
Okay.
I know that sounds creepy. I had a look in the shed at the general condition of it, and I think it's pretty good. I actually think that maybe sitting in there for 10 years has possibly saved its body, but these rot in a specific place, and I know this because my friend Sean, if you remember him from my Renault 5 GT Turbo barn find, he was with me on that and helped me get it going, but he also consequently bought it and is rebuilding it on his own channel. Check that out, it's on the screen now. But he's just sent me this pearl of wisdom. He says plugs foul really easily, so it might be misfiring because of that. I'm going to need new plugs anyway.
With the rear turret.
Oh, hang on.
Sean left me a voicemail explaining what to look for, but he later decided to go one better and make a video of the weak spots of these four-wheel drive warriors. He also detailed specifically more on the Turbo 2000 model. Over to you, Sean.
Where do they rust? Well, they do rust on the front end underneath the radiator, or the actual radiator, and there's a little cowling under there. They rot. Subframes tend to be all right, but they can rot on the subframes on the front as well. Sills, because on this one being a rally car, hasn't got the sill protectors on it, but the like extra sill pieces on here. There's one area that I really want to talk about because not many people can find this. So they rot up inside this turret here. So when it gets worse and these arches rot out all the way down there. That's obvious to see because it's on the outside. But if that's all good, but you put your hand up inside there and feel back on yourself, and you can literally just push your hand through. And to get to that and fix it properly, you need to cut this arch off. This side's got a fuel filler, so it's even more awkward. You've got to cut the arch off and fix it through there, which is a lot of work, which is why people just probably decided just to bin them instead of, or strip them and sell them for parts instead of repairing them. So that's why the Turbo 2000 even though it was the more common, it was the base. It's not the base model because the base model was a sport non-turbo, but it was the average one. The most common one was the Turbo 2000, but they're nearly all gone because they were built they were for the UK. They lived all their life in the UK and they just rusted to pieces or crashed.
That's interesting because that's probably an area where people never jet wash.
Yeah, there's a lot of dust, but it seems solid to me.
That's really good. Because he said, "Oh, it's a Turbo 2000 UK car. It'll be a miracle if it's not rusty." But maybe miracles can happen. And that, I mean, just starting to go there and a little bit worse on that back arch. But if that's the worst of it, maybe the back of this sill here, of course you've got to take the sill covers off to be sure, but that's pretty promising news, Rob.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Let's have a look in the boot. Let's have a look in the boot before I get my cleaning gear out. Well, there's a pair of pants. I'm not even going to ask.
They're not my pants. So
They're not your pants, okay. Pretty sure they're not your mother-in-law's pants.
No.
This is the thing about the IMPREZA. Like I was saying earlier about the dashboard, you were never buying the IMPREZA for the dashboard. The dashboard's pretty basic. You're buying it for its drivetrain. It's a four-wheel drive system and that amazing flat four engine. But look, under here, Rob. Look at the back and all the seam sealer inside the spare wheel wheel. Actually looks really good. And of course, they rot. What Sean's saying is they rot back there, right? Once they go through up here, down there, I guess it's a
major restoration.
We've got to take the whole drivetrain out to access it, probably. There's a bit starting to go.
Oh, there is.
Where that pressing is. Yeah, but let's not panic yet. You can just see where that scab there is. You can access it from the other side.
Inside, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not actually too.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be too tricky. As is always the case with barn finds, I try to give the car a clean up with the time and the materials that I've got with the stuff I bring. I've got my my kit bag full of Nielsen car cleaning products. You can get 35% off if you use the discount code that's in the description. Go shopping. The stuff's great. It's made in the UK. So you've just heard it run?
I've just heard it run for
the
the
first
first
time
time in, I can't remember how many years.
Well, the tax disc says 2013.
Yeah, that's about right then.
So it's been off the road for over 10
Over
years.
10 years, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long time since we've had anything to do with this poor car, and I love it.
Well, clearly you love it because you drive in our Bath every day,
Yeah,
which is not a slow car
no.
and not a quiet car.
It's too quiet, but it's not a quiet car, I agree. It's just hasn't got the grumble of this.
This has a real grumble.
Yeah.
That pipe is seriously loud. So what did you love about it then?
When we first went to see, well, I can't remember what we were driving at the time, but I saw this one and I just loved the shape.
Yeah.
And my son at the time had got one, which is also here,
Yeah.
a red one, and he used to rave on about it. I mean, he loves his cars. He's had all sorts of beautiful cars, and he'd got this one. And I thought, do you know, I'd quite like one of them. But is it cool for a mum to have the same car as her son? And I think he thought twice about that. But anyway, we told him about it and he said, go on, go for it. So we had a look. And yeah, I just thought I really love the shape and the colour.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when he struck it up and revved it a bit, I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
we do like that.
Yeah. They are good fun to drive.
Yeah, they are, and they don't look as if they're, I mean, the spoiler on the front, the air intake on the front,
Yeah.
gives it away a bit.
Yeah.
But basically, they look like a sort of average family car, don't they?
Yeah, they played it down a bit. They did play it
Yeah.
down
So I kind of like it that it doesn't stick out and say, look at me.
too much. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really good fun. It brings out the kid in you, which
Yeah.
is a nice help at my age.
Yeah. Well, I mean, having had a look round it, it's pretty good.
It's not bad, is it? I was expecting it to look a lot, more battered than it is.
No, it's all right. You'd have to go through the brakes, and obviously it needs a good service.
Yeah, it does.
But
now I'm really excited about it. But you're right about the wheels. The wheels needs better wheels on it.
agree.
So now I'm the main driver in the family now. So yes,
So what you say is
what I
goes.
say goes.
Well, in which case, I think we should get it on the road as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean we've had some lovely cars, but this is the one that's really stuck in my mind. I mean we had Alpina. I mean that was gorgeous,
Yeah.
but I used to drive it like Miss Daisy.
Did you?
Because it's so big, so comfortable,
Yeah.
I used to just sort of float along with it.
Yeah.
You can't really do that with this.
No.
It needs a bit more attention.
Yeah.
So,
These
yeah.
are so nimble,
Yeah,
especially around these back lanes. You've got some great driving roads around here.
yeah.
And this was born for those twisty
Yeah.
uphill, down dale kind of roads.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
it's yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting
Your
it back
smile says
again.
everything about this car. It says everything. Well, having spent a bit of time cleaning up Jill's Subaru, I think it's come up brilliantly. You can see with the machine polish, a bit more time on it, and definitely a different set of wheels and tyres. I think it would look spectacular. Plus, I don't think it needs restoring as such. Rob's going to recommission it where it needs to be done. Good service, some new brakes, those sorts of things. And this will be back on the road soon, I hope. And you can tell from Jill's expression, this car makes her smile and she can't wait to get back in it again. And that's what this is all about. 12 years ago or whenever this car went in that shed, these were common. And most of them that are still around being used regularly are probably rotten. I think this being in that shed has actually probably saved its body. But also, yeah, I know it's been off the road for a bit, but now it can come back and be enjoyed again. It's a classic now. It probably wasn't a classic 12 years ago, right? Hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Late Break Show. If you haven't already, I'd love you to subscribe. Remember, you can get 35% off Nielsen car cleaning products. Just go into the description. There is a discount code. Go and use it to your heart's content. And if you know of a car that you think could be of interest for this playlist, in a real barn, in a backyard, on a driveway, in a garage, whatever, let me know. There's an email in the description. Send me some details, some pictures, and we'll see if we can come and pay you a visit. Thank you.
Once again, a big thank you to Works Tools for supporting Barnfind February. Remember to use our special Late Break Show discount code for all the home and garden tools.